Welcome back, everyone. Again, a privilege to have our friend Mike Harris with us. I hope you're thinking of him even now as a friend. He is a child of God and someone who brings what I perceive as great wisdom from his own life experience. We're talking about finances, and last week we were really getting into the idea that of debt being consuming. People get into debt from the fear of missing out. Or just consumerism. They want to have the next best thing, the next greatest thing. Mike, when we've got that mountain of debt just sitting on top of us, how can we tackle it? What are some principles that we can use to begin chipping away at that debt?
I think the first thing is we've got to change our habits. Habit has created that. We can talk about debt consolidation. I'm not an expert in that area, but I'm very aware of what that is, and I'm not the biggest fan of it because what debt consolidation does is it doesn't necessarily lower the interest rate that you'll be paying. It does elongate the period of time, though it does obviously bring down what the payments would be.
Sure.
So although I would say that's something to look at, I'd say that's almost a last resort.
So you like the idea of debt elimination?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And that's where, and I mentioned this in a previous episode, where working on a budget comes in. Reinvent your budget based on what you need to get that debt paid off. And I know that seems almost unsurmountable, but you didn't get here in a day, therefore you won't get out of it in a day.
Right.
The key is reevaluating, changing your habits, and starting right now. Don't wait for this. Don't wait for next month or 6 months from now because you've got events happening. Start right now. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tough. But if you put it into God's hands and honor him, and here's a big thing, and pay him his 10th first. That's where faith is.
Amen.
Faith in tithing is paying it first. Paying it last is not faith at all, because if you pay it last, it won't get paid.
Yeah.
But if you do that and really work within that budget, you will find yourself making headway. It'll take time. It won't be fixed in a day. It's rather like me, Bernie. I'm carrying a few more pounds than I used to.
Aren't we all?
When I go on a diet, after 3 days of the diet, I start to wonder, why am I not seeing a difference? Well, you know what? I didn't get this way overnight, Bernie.
That's right.
So I think that's the big key is changing your habits and getting in there for the long haul.
Yeah. One of the principles that my wife and I discovered early on is when you accumulate maybe multiple forms of debt, like in the United States, that you have Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. Well, back in the day, not everybody took American Express. The fees were greater, and so we were given a bank card that had a MasterCard symbol on it, and you could use it as a debit card, so you could only spend the money that you had. But the credit card would allow you to make purchases that maybe you didn't have the money for right then. And over time, you would pay off those purchases. Well, then we got another credit card because we bought a car, and that came with a credit card of some sort. And we discovered before we knew it, we had 3 different credit cards. One was a debit card, and we needed to pay these things down. And someone shared with us this idea that if you focus, you pay what you absolutely have to, of course, so you don't get into any more trouble. But then if you can begin to pay a little bit more on one, just focus on one and get it out of the way, then take that money that you were paying on the one when it's gone and apply it to the next one. It'll be a much quicker way to get that debt eliminated.
Absolutely.
And start over. Again, changing your habits, as Mike's already mentioned. But you've got to arrest the idea that you need it now. You need it. You can't live without it. The truth is you can. And when you begin living within your means, there's a freedom that exists. There's a joy then in the times that you do celebrate with other people, or where you feel you can be generous and maybe buy a meal or do something kind towards someone else, or even come alongside a ministry opportunity and surrender money that you might have otherwise spent frivolously on something else. I appreciate the idea, Mike, that for you, consolidation is different than elimination. And that's important for the listeners to understand because, as you said, it really just elongates the payment. It does bring it down, but you're still paying over time. Whereas if you can eliminate the debt, then you're really getting to the crux of, or perhaps a better foundation for you to then springboard into the new practice of your life, the new habits of your life. If it were just eating, it would be eating well but we're really talking about spending and getting ourselves in that trouble. If you are someone who needs wisdom or advice, I would tell you that there are so many resources out there. I'm especially interested in you looking for Christian resources.
Hmm.
And we mentioned last week someone that I have found help from, and in the form of Dave Ramsey.
And I start right there. I totally agree. That's the first place I'd start.
Yeah, it's a great way to start. It's unbelievable the age that we live in today technologically. There's so many great opportunities for us to learn from each other. Iron sharpening iron, if you will. Mike, I'm grateful for your ministry to us as the Wonderful Words of Life crowd. And I hope that you'll come back next week and learn even more about financial freedom from our friend Mike Harris. God bless you.